Hey everyone, you made it to our show, Oak Road Diaries. It's a podcast where we get to take a journey into the lives of different experts, and we get to explore their roots and their own self-care practices.
In each episode, we dive deep into their personal philosophies, daily rituals, and transformative experiences from their lives, which offer all of us valuable insights and practical tips for our own well-being.
Join us as we uncover the wisdom behind intentional living, one story at a time. What if some of life's greatest lessons could be found by slowing down long enough to observe the natural world?
Today, we're joined by someone who has done exactly that. Our guest, McKay Jo, is a beekeeper, educator, and storyteller whose work invites us to reconsider our relationship with nature, community, and ourselves.
Through her journey with bees, McKay has discovered that these remarkable creatures offer far more than honey. They reveal lessons about resilience, cooperation, stewardship, and the delicate balance that sustains all the life.
In part one of our conversation, we explore how McKay first found her way into beekeeping, the unexpected wisdom she uncovered inside the hive, and how working so closely with nature transformed her perspective on intentional living.
We also dive into the intricate world of bees themselves, their communication, their community structures, and the profound role they play in supporting the ecosystems that we often take for granted.
This conversation is an invitation to slow down, pay attention, and reconnect with rhythms of the natural world that have been guiding life for millions of years.
So settle in, take a deep breath, and join us for part one of our conversation with beekeeper, educator, and the nature guide, McKay Jo.
I'm so stoked. I feel like to toot my own horn, I'm kind of the perfect person for it.
Backing up a little bit. So you just moved to South Carolina like a year ago?
Yeah, it's been almost a year. Yeah. So I went up to Utah State, studied entomology. I was doing primarily beetles, loved the beetles, but I've loved bugs my whole life. I used to tell my mom, or I tell friends, my bug fascination started in high school, and she would say, no, like when you were a little girl, this and this and this. So I've always loved bugs. Utah State was doing beetles, but they have the 10th largest bee collection in the world at Utah State.
What?
So I'm in the bug lab, and I'm like peering over into this bee lab, and I just can't help it. Like all of a sudden I got bees, and I'm assisting with hives, and then I was doing solo hives. And then after that point, I had done beekeeping maybe like 15 years, and I decided I went back to school, went to Cornell and got my master beekeeper. And then after that, I started doing like honey tasting events because it's just different rabbit holes you go down, and everything is just so fascinating. And like each one, you could spend a lifetime learning. But started doing honey tasting events of different altitudes and different seasons and different colors and different and I'd sit people down at a beautiful table. We'd have a charcuterie. Everyone would wear white because it was like the beekeeper colors.
Love me a charcuterie board. Yes.
I know. And we would learn about the bees together because I would give away a jar of my honey, and nobody would understand how magical it is,
Yeah, especially
they give someone
local,
a jar
right?
of honey, they put it on a peanut butter sandwich and eat it in rush hour traffic, and my heart would just die. I'm like, don't do that with my honey. So I could sit and I could explain it over like a beautiful dinner, and people loved it, and I would do like weddings were great because a lot of, you have different families there, and you don't really know, conversations kind of choppy. But if you have somebody there explaining what you're eating, and it's kind of like an experiment or experience.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was so fun. So started doing that. And then COVID hit. We did remote honey tasting boxes where we'd ship you a box and you sign on to a virtual honey tasting, and I teach you all about the honey. And then after that, I just started getting into apitherapy. And apitherapy is everything to do with health and wellness and healing your body with the products from the hive. And there are a lot of products from the hive. It's not just honey. And so I built my first bee hut. And it's a little apitherapy hut that you go into, and you got the hives that you are breathing in the hive air. You're feeling the buzz of the bees. It's a tight little space. It's meditative, and you're in there. And I honestly built it kind of experimentally. just curiosity and admittedly maybe a little bit of like content, like,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
let's build this aesthetically beautiful thing for some great content. And it was like the first like couple weeks, I was like, oh no, like this is cool. Like this is like beyond. Like I did not realize. And so laying in that hut, I was like, okay, like I don't know what to do, but I'm like, I'm down another rabbit hole and this one feels big,
Has this ever been done
So,
before, those huts?
oh,
Is this
for
a
sure.
common
Yeah.
thing?
So,
Okay.
I mean, in Australia and in the UK, it's pretty common. It like
Okay.
not, no, I don't know, pretty common, but it's like you
I
see
mean,
them more
I
than you
looked it
would
up and I
here.
saw like little fairy type, huts and things like that. But yours is very different from what I've seen. I mean, the other ones are like
Sure.
hobbit homes and things like that, but yours is an actual like freestanding hut.
Yeah, it's like sole purpose is the beehive, is the apitherapy. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot of them are used for like other maybe multi-purposes or I don't know. Like I've seen a lot of people anywhere from doing something posh and master carpentry to like there's like this back hick guy that has just like made this old like horse trailer into one and it's
Nice.
so endearing. It's so funny. But I mean, basically it's just like a small enclosed space where you can breathe the hive air and be next to the bees without being next to the bees.
Right.
So,
Um, I want to go
yeah.
even back further. I know we skipped so much.
I know. Yeah, I know we jumped
Hey,
ahead
yeah,
for a second.
sorry.
No, that's
Hey,
good.
that's
You
all
know what?
right.
And we're done. I
That's
just
a
summed
good
it up
clip
for you.
right there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's put a pin in that and back it up a
Yeah.
smidge. So let's go back to Utah. So you grew up in Utah, where?
I mean, all over. My family is still in Highland. Highland was my.
Oh, they live a
Uh,
stone's throw from me. I'm in Traverse Mountain.
oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were in Highland. My family moved there in 1990, so it's changed a lot. And when I go
Oh yeah.
back, I just like, ooh, I try and like embrace the new, but it's so hard because I'm so nostalgic for my small little AF Canyon, like the little small town Utah. It's
yeah.
changed quite a bit. But then I lived downtown Salt Lake for 11 years, and I was up at Utah State. So my heart is in downtown. That's where I spent the last. Maybe I was 11 years in one place. It was probably like 15 years overall in
Hmm.
downtown. So,
Wow.
Whereabouts in downtown were you guys? Were you near the U?
avenues.
Oh, you're the Avenues.
I was well at Avenues, and then we switched to the U. And my husband is in dental school. I moved there, and I started because I was really passionate about bees, but I didn't have a place for bees because we're in
Mhm.
the city. So I
Right.
started doing hives for the businesses in the downtown, and we would put beehives on their rooftops. And I didn't even want the honey. Like I didn't. I just honestly, again, it was for content. I wanted
Yeah.
great shots, and I wanted to be involved. Like I just wanted to be out there, and a lot of people wouldn't say yes unless there was, unless I'm like, "I'll do it for free," and they're like,
Sure.
"Okay," and then they
It's like,
realize
yeah.
how cool it is. Yeah, but I mean, there was, coffee shops, 2 really posh restaurants downtown, we had bees on their roof.
And they just wanted it for
There
the honey? Is that it? Like just for
Yeah,
their
well, and we
their
would suit up
eatery?
the employees, and the employees would come on the roof, and we would teach them all about
Oh, that's
the
cool.
hive. And yeah, and then I'd hand over this amazing jar of honey, and I'm like, "Don't heat it, and this is why it's important." And 2 of the businesses, we had a honey tasting, like, in the business, and so it was cool because we gotta teach them, like, "Yeah, and this honey is from 10 feet above you," like, it was really cool to be able to do that.
Oh,
I think
nice. So
what's
did you go to
particularly
Lone
cool
Peak then?
about
Oh, sorry.
I did. Are you a lone peaker?
So Sam and I, real quick, we grew up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
We're born and raised in PA, and we were Eastern PA. Like none of our family, we had like nobody out west. Like we're
no.
not the pioneer ancestry, none of that stuff. We did grow up LDS though,
Okay.
and we were kind of the only ones in our school kind of situation. Small, you kind of, I'm sure you get the sense in South Carolina. I don't know what your affiliation is at this point, but we it was just kind of, yeah, we were the only ones in the school anyway. So, but had no ancestry with that. But I just came out to Utah for BYU, and that's what
Okay.
brought me out here. So I came out here
Oh,
for that,
cool.
and then I ended up staying,
And then you got
graduated.
stuck. You never left. You
Well,
married a
more
Utah
or
girl,
less.
There's
didn't
actually
you?
there's a lot more backstory, but long story
Okay.
short, I graduated in August of 2014, and we stayed here for 2 years, and then we left. Went to Minnesota. My wife's from Minnesota. And so I
Okay.
actually didn't even meet her here. Funny enough, when I was at BYU, I deferred a semester. Sam actually, he was like, I had just got back from an LDS mission, and I was just getting into school. And I'm like, and he's like, hey, you should come home before I get married just so we can hang out more. I'm like, dude, I just got back. I've been gone for 2 years. And I did one semester, fall semester, and I learned you can defer the winter semester. So I was like, oh, let me go home. So I go home, and 2 months later, I met my wife at a dance near Philly. How
Oh,
crazy,
wow.
right? Like and she had just got home from her LDS mission. So, and she just happened to be there because her parents were living there. And anyway, so that kind of worked out, but went back to Utah, went and got the degree, and then stayed in Utah for about a couple of years. I went to Minnesota where she's from, tried that out for 2 years. And then through a much longer story, we ended up finding our way back to Utah in 2019.
That's great. That's
Bouncing
fun.
around,
That's a
Draper
good
was our
man.
story.
home. We really like Draper. That's where we were.
Yeah, Draper was cool.
Before leaving, and then when we came back, we lived in Draper, and then we bought a house in Draper, and then we left again and went to PA. We went back to Pennsylvania for almost a year, and then we came back here. There's a lot more backstory there, but anyway, so
Nice.
Yeah, might as well call yourselves military families, man.
I know.
Yeah, for real.
Well, we came out here. We came to Traverse Mountain. We wanted to go in Draper, but we came to Traverse Mountain because our kids' school is really close. There's a really good school here called Ignite Entrepreneurship Academy, and we wanted them to go there. And we're looking at a couple other schools down in like American Fork, and so we just decided to come to Utah County, to Happy Valley. We've never been here except for school, and that's totally different than like raising a family.
And what a great
Totally,
name
yeah.
too, man. Happy Valley.
That's what
Right?
they call it.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love
Heck
it.
yeah.
I defend it to the death. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
My background, I've actually stayed out here on the East Coast. I'm definitely an Easterner through and through. It's much simpler to go up and down the coast and so many different things. And plus, I got family out here on my wife's side. So,
Nice.
what I find, I want to go back to the general topic of bees. I like your story. I like where you came from as far as what's out on the socials. And the whole premise of our show is to just be authentic with our guest and to truly know who you were. So if you were, bring us back to when you were a little kid, a little McKay, as you were growing up. Little kids, they're scared of bees, right? It was a bee, you kind of mentioned a little bit, but
Yeah, I don't ever
did you like
remember
that?
being scared of bees. I mean, my mom told me, I would, my kid brother, putting him to bed, he wouldn't put his legs down in the bed. My mom says, what's going on? And he said, McKay, put hoppers in my bed. And I'd gathered a bunch of grasshoppers and thrown them in his bed. And my mom looked down at the grocery store and I had a handful of roly-polies.
Oh my!
And she's like, where did you get those? Like and by the end of the shopping trip, they're all gone. So like, there's just a lot of little stories like that. I think in junior high, I remember making like those paper, like clomper things, like the big mouth, like you fold it origami.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And I'd go clomp it around the bees that were on the dandelions, and then I'd tape them shut and take them home. I don't remember what happened after I took them home. But yeah, those are, I don't know.
They're still in a tissue box.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, have you?
Well, and like,
keep going,
skipping all around all over the place. I think the people who are like you are taught fear. You're taught fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my parents were just chill. They were just like chill about stuff, and I teach beekeeping classes to little kids, or I did when I was in Utah. I had 35 suits, and we'd suit them all up and we'd take them out to the hive. The scaredest people I have going to the hives are adults by far.
Sure. Yeah.
I had one kid, his whole mask, he like put his face down on the hive, came up and there's bees all over, and he's like, whoa. And I'm like,
so
okay.
amazed.
I'm like brushing him off. I'm like, you back up. like they're like, as a little kid, I think I didn't ever have anyone instill a fear in me. And that's like such an important thing that I want to do for my kids and to these kids that come to the little classes, is that, like we are dancing together in this whole little ecosystem of theirs. And they're, like they're gentle, they're kind, you move slow. And so, I don't remember that in my childhood, which I guess I'm super grateful for. That's,
Yeah.
That is
So that
cool.
was your leading up to the bees. So in your teenage years, what made you, bring us back to, we're all teenagers, we're going to college, what made you want to go do this?
I didn't.
Okay.
I like back then when there's no social media, there's no I don't know. Like I've carved out a very unique career for myself, and it's all been very accidental. And so thinking about a career or what I wanted to do and what I wanted to go to school for, um, if I was to pursue bugs, the options are I could be like a forest ranger, figure out why the trees are dying by what type of insects or whatnot, or I could teach, and those things didn't sound very appealing to me. But I went to Utah State following a boy. He was up at Utah State. I decided to go to Utah State 2 weeks after I got there. It blew up in my face. And I was like, great. Like, now what am I going to do? And then it was just like, well, like they have a really cool insect lab here. And it was like, I'm going to take a bunch of insect classes. And it just kind of like snowballed a little bit. And I was doing it as a placeholder to find out what I was really going to do, you know? So it wasn't ever like, yeah, this is it, And it wasn't until like, it really was just me taking a class and another class that I felt it was interesting. And then it was like social media that started opening all the doors. And that's when like I started making money with it, which is wild.
And then you ended up going to Cornell afterwards, or just dropped that whole thing in there?
Yeah.
That was an online certification?
What's that?
Was that an online certification that you got? Or you actually...
Yeah, so, and I flew out to Ithaca to do all my testing and stuff there on the campus, but it was all virtual before that point.
Yeah.
And then was that a 2-year program?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What was that like to do that virtually?
Oh my gosh, to fly out to I mean, because, you do bees for 15, I don't know, I want to say it was 15 or 17. Well, you do bees for a long time. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go. I want to be a master beekeeper. I want to do this. And then you're like, what can they teach me? Like, I've been doing this for so long, and all of a sudden it was like, the first like little chunk, I was like, oh geez, like there's a lot, like, like so insane that I had such a big head about this is to like, yeah, I got this,
Like I know all the heritage of it, blah, 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 all that.
Yeah. I mean, like the whole anatomy of the bee, just all the stuff. And so, well, and also too, like I have a sense of whimsy and I'm a romantic. And so there were a lot of things that I just like leaving unanswered, So the queen bee, she can choose whether she wants to lay a female egg or a male egg.
Oh, she
and
chooses.
How insane is that? And so, people, I would tell that fact to people at the honey tables and stuff, and they'd be like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that cool? Like,
I don't think that hit me till right now.
It's magic, But then when I get to Cornell, they're like, no, there's science behind it. Like the males are haploids, the females are diploids. She's carrying sperm inside her and she fertilizes eggs as they come out, or she doesn't.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, that makes sense. And it's like, it took away my magic, but it like it was better to learn,
the realness behind it.
Yeah.
You're like, no, the romantic side of it is they can decide if they want more men or more women in their group.
Yeah, exactly. And like the females are the ones that work, and they're the ones that build the hive and harvest the honey.
I did not know that.
Oh my heck. See, and
we need to go back to the basics now. All right. So now we're talking about.
Sorry, 1 second though, Sam. McKay, is Sam frozen to you?
Am I?
Or do you see him?
Nope.
You see him moving? Okay, good. I don't.
Yep.
You are choppy and a little bit pixelated, but Sam's clear.
Oh, that's right on par. Sweet Jared.
No, it's not actually. I don't know.
But it's fine. It's just like a little bit pixelated.
It works. I want to go through a shortened B, right? So the show is also for the average person, McKay. Like you said, like you thought you were the master beekeeper at the time before you went to master beekeeper school. I'm always interjecting for the average person who just randomly stumbled across our show and said, whoa, did not know anything about the honeybees. I kill them every single time I see them. Right? So
let's talk to them.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk to those people.
Yes.
Right? They don't know anything. That's just a damn thing that, stings me or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's 3 bees in the hive: queen, boys, and girls. The girls are the workers. The boys are the drones. They're, oh man, it's hard to like kind of unravel it. So the girls are the only ones who work. The girls forage. They go through a series of jobs as they grow up through the hive. They spend 20 days inside the hive, 20 days outside of the hive. And their first job, they clean out their cell and their little, like their nurser bees, and they tend to the larva and they tend to the queen. And then they graduate to like being a they drag out the dead bees and they clean out or they guard the front of the hive. They guard the entrance. Then they graduate to forager. And after their 20 days inside, they become a forager. At this time, their venom is more potent. Their venom grows more potent as they get older. And they go out and they forage for the honey and they'll defend the hive and they come back and then they go out. And then it's only 40 days and they're dead. So they live a really short life.
Wow.
The males in the hive, their job is to spread the genetics of the hive. So their job is to mate with queens from other hives. So they leave the hive on a daily quest to find another queen. And they will find her, they mate with her, and as the textbooks put it, when they mate with her, their penises explode and they die. So they're done. Yeah. So if they've lived a successful life, they die.
Wait,
they
so
they found their queen. What?
They always go. I literally always thought their whole job was to impregnate their queen of their own hive.
Yeah, me too.
Because I mean, you're dealing with incest there. You got to spread the genetics. You know.
Well,
I mean,
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I get that.
Yeah, it's her offspring.
Yeah.
So the queen, so there's only one queen in the hive.
Okay.
The queen, she emerges from her cocoon. Bees go through a complete metamorphosis, just like butterflies. She emerges from her cocoon and she's a virgin queen. She goes on her mating flight, so she leaves the hive just once. She puts out a pheromone that attracts all these drones from other hives that are looking for her.
Goodness.
She mates with anywhere from 10 to 15 drones 50 feet in the air, in like a mating zone in the air. She returns to her hive and she is then fertile for the rest of her life, and she lives 3 to 5 years. So she'll never leave the hive again, and she's in there choosing whether she can lay the female eggs or the male eggs. And
because she already has all that she needs from that one interaction.
Right.
Oh, so the other bees aren't coming to her hive.
What's that?
The other bees, like when you mentioned that the drones go out and try to find the queen, they're not like going to the hive of the queen to impregnate or anything. They're literally just doing this on her maiden voyage. They're finding the maiden voyage queens that are constantly floating around.
Yep. Yeah.
I didn't realize there was that many hives.
That is crazy.
Either did I.
No, really. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people do. They'll get so freaked out if their neighbor gets hives, and you're like, do you realize that if there's a honeybee in your yard, there's a hive close by, you know? So,
So what else were you
I mean, that's the
then?
whole point of the happy atrium, right? I think too many people are in default. They probably don't even think about this stuff. They're just insects.
Exactly.
Right? They're just bugs. I think this is amazing that we're opening the world up to nature.
Yeah.
No, I was actually really excited about this
101.
conversation. Yeah, let's go.
I'm ready. Okay, I'm going to take it one level further. You ready for this?
Go for it.
So, the stinger of the bee is developed from the ovipositor, which is how they deposit eggs, right? So only the females can sting. The drone bees that are out finding the queen, they don't have any stingers, so they can't defend the hive. They don't do anything in the hive. They really if the hive production is going down, the worker bees will actually drag the boys out of the hive and kick them out, like they're done. And the queen will take assessment of the hive, and she only lays females because they need more workers. So in the early spring, you'll just see a bunch of the worker bees coming up, and it's later that you see the boys come.
Wow.
The queen lays an egg. It hatches. It's fed royal jelly, which is a substance that is secreted from the honeybee's head. A lot of people don't know about royal jelly.
No.
So they eat this royal jelly until they get to a certain, I think it's like 30-something hours. I'm not real sure right now. 30-something hours. Then they switch over to eating a bee bread, which is a mixture of pollen and honey, and it's slightly fermented.
What?
Them switching over to eating that changes the makeup of their body. If they don't switch over and they eat purely royal jelly, their body develops into a queen bee. Does that make sense?
What? That's crazy.
My mind is blown away by this whole story.
Right.
So of course you're going to explain though how they
dies. What?
I'm going to ask the question, but keep going. Basically, how do they decide if they're just going to keep eating royal jelly to become a queen bee?
Well, so a lot of people are like, oh, the queen bee, she's awesome. She rules the hive, like Beyonce, queen bee. She's actually a slave to her hive. The
Oh.
workers are the ones that are making the decision on those things. And so and even if the queen's egg production has slowed down and she's not doing well, they will kill her and they will choose a larva that hasn't switched over to eating the bee bread and they will raise up a new queen.
That's when they do it.
So yeah, and that's, I mean, and they will raise up a couple of them because, they, as a default, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
So they'll raise
yeah.
up a couple of them. The queen bees will fight each other to the death until there's only one queen and she's the new queen of the hive. It's wild. Yeah.
Whoa. So that's happening every day in hives.
No, not every day. So I mean, some queens are awesome. So they last 3 to 5 years,
This
Well,
whole
not in
other war is
not in
going
a
on
given
within the
hive.
bee
I'm saying
world.
though, at any given time, there are so many hives that this is occurring. At least I'm sure it's constantly occurring.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You've got a
yeah,
hive where she's doing
absolutely.
well. That hive's pretty good for about 3 years, but then she may be on the death march, thereafter.
Sure. And it's called the ball of death. They circle around her and they move really fast that it heats her up
What?
and she dies.
She knows it's
Yeah.
coming. She's like, I've done my part.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's unreal,
nuts.
man. So how much research went into that? Like, I'm
I
amazed
know.
by who thought of the research, what it took to go into, I guess,
Right.
just monitoring the hive.
Well, I mean, and that's the tip of the iceberg. Like, you don't understand.
Sure.
Like, your mind's being blown, and like you get into the deeper stuff. Like, honeybees can count. They have facial recognition. They're
Wow.
a social creature, and they dance with pheromones. Like, the way that they can direct other bees to food is
What?
fascinating. And they're the only species in the world that are doing it apart from humans. It's like that's a whole other story. But if you want to dive into that in a very
yeah.
scientific, nerdy way, Mind of a Bee is a really great book. It's extremely boring, but it talks about like how they did that, like how they figured this stuff out. And I
Awesome.
really liked it.
Well, I mean,
So,
dive
I want
deeper
to get
though.
back
Like,
to the
I
roots
am
of
more
it for sure.
I am curious to know a little bit more about it. Like any other things that are of interesting that you think would be
Of the
interesting to
bees?
us.
Of the
Heck
bees, yeah.
Okay, here's another fun one. We will talk about how most species on Earth will bring food back if they're a social creature, or they can like monkeys will like grab a hand and like take you over to the banana tree, like,
Sure.
like they're young or whatever. Us and bees are the only ones that can say, hey, there's food and I'll give you directions to it. It's a simple
Wow.
thing, but like we're the only species that can do it. And so like I'll say to you, like,
Cool.
there's a great hot dog place down. You just take the third and you go to the left and da. The bees, the way they do it is with the waggle dance. And have you heard of this?
No, I'm just
Oh
thinking
my
of the Bee
gosh.
movie. I'm watching the Bee movie the other day with my kids. I'm like, I cannot wait for this conversation today.
I know. I know.
I actually haven't watched that movie in decades.
That's
I
all.
should
Every
watch
time
it and
you're
see if it's
describing
accurate.
this hive, I'm thinking of the Bee movie and Jerry Seinfeld just freaking out trying to figure out what
Oh,
job
yeah.
he's doing.
The
So
waggle
the bee
dance.
goes out, the forager bee goes out, finds a ton of pollen a ton of nectar, a ton of pollen in these beautiful flower patch. So it goes back to tell the hive, because they need to pull more foragers over there. Goes to the designated spot on the honeycomb that we call it the dance floor, and it will do a figure 8
Wow.
as it moves. So it turns and then it goes straight and turns and goes straight. As it goes straight, it waggles the back end of its abdomen.
Yeah.
The
okay.
waggle is the intensity of how much pollen there is. So if there's a lot of pollen, it's going crazy. If not, it's just pretty mellow. The
Wow.
tightness of the 8 is showing you how far it is. So if it's a
What?
tight little 8, then it's close. If it's pretty big, then it's pretty far foraging. And then the direction, so the perpendicular is up, and that's where the sun is, and it will pivot the figure 8 in line with the perpendicular. As the bee leaves, it can line with the sun, and it will know the angle from that figure 8, and it goes
Dude.
that direction.
My mind
And
is
as they're
blown here.
watching the bee do this dance, they're gathered around and they're smelling the bee so they can smell the type of nectar, the type of pollen that the flower
Wow.
is. And then they will take off and they'll go directly to it.
So this
And
is the
so
bee
it's
bringing
so
back,
wild.
and that's happening all day long. They're communicating.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So one bee will
Yeah.
go out. I'm sure they never is that you typically. Well, my question is like one isn't ever going out. Aren't they typically together? Like you'll typically see multiple ones together, or is it ever a case where you've just
Well,
got
I mean,
one?
that's probably because they've like recruited a bunch to come and forage off
The
of this one
jocks.
area.
So
Yeah,
so they'll go out like in the morning or something and go look, and they'll find a new area. But hey, there's got a lot of pollen here. And then she'll come back, and she'll do the waggle dance, let them know.
right.
That's
Yep.
incredible.
And they're just going
Wow.
back and forth all day long.
Yep.
So let's talk about the actual honey production. What goes into that? I always thought it was them like vomiting up this pollen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So man, there's a lot of different products that come from the hive. Pollen and honey are the ones that they're out foraging for primarily. So the bee goes to the flower. It's got a little static electric charge on the hair of the bee that will attract the pollen to it. And then it goes to the flower and it will drink up the nectar and into its honey stomach. So it's gathering two things from the flower, and as it goes to the different flower, the pollen falls off and is kind of mixed. But mostly, the bee will take its back leg and comb the pollen off, and it's got like a press on its leg, and it will press the pollen into these little granule balls that hang out on the back of the legs.
Yeah.
And
I've seen pollen. Yeah, so that's what they're doing.
If you watch bees, you can see bees that have these pollen granules, and then it will get back to the hive. And it will take the pollen granules and shove them down into the cells. But the honey, it regurgitates up and into another bee's mouth. And then that bee will chew on it for a little while and regurgitate it into another bee's mouth. That bee will chew on it for a while, just adding enzymes and spit and whatever to it, and then regurgitate it into the cell. At that point, it sits at about a 60-something water ratio. And at that level of water, it can ferment and it can go bad. And they'll walk over it and they'll fan it until that water evaporates down to about 14%. And then they'll cap it off. And that's lower than bacteria can grow. And that's why honey lasts forever, because it's at a lower water content than.
And that's just from them flapping their wings.
Yeah. So and then they'll take the pollen, which is their source of a protein, and they'll take their honey, which is the source of carbs, and they'll mix that into another substance called bee bread. Basically it's pollen and honey that's kind of been slightly fermented, and it makes it kind of like a superfood. They feed it to their larvae.
That's awesome.
So the nectar.
I have a great. Go ahead, Jared.
Sorry. Honey is literally, it's the nectar of the flowers, right? That's what they're sucking
Yes,
up.
and a lot of beekeepers don't even call it honey until it's evaporated down to that 14%. They still will call it nectar.
Nectar. How do they know when it's evaporated down enough?
They cap it. Or how do the bees know?
I'm talking about humans, like a beekeeper, like you, McKay, you go out there, you're like, nope, this is still a little too watery, this honey.
Well, they will cap it. The bees will cap it at that point. So like, and that's one thing, like there's so many different ways, and I could do a deep dive on honey and the different ways it could be contaminated. But you have a frame or like a layer of beeswax that the honeybees are filling up full of honey, and you'll watch them kind of cap it, and it will just kind of grow the little, like they put a little cap of beeswax
I've seen
on the top. Yeah. Well, the stuff over here hasn't been capped. They're still fanning it off. They're still filling it up. Over here, it's been capped. And a beekeeper who doesn't know any better will pull the full frame, harvest all of the honey, and then you have honey. It's problematic because you have honey in there that sits at the higher water content. So you got to make sure what you're harvesting is all capped. It's like the surefire way to know that it's good honey is it's capped.
The whole rectangle, you've got half and half or a third to whatever. You wait till it's fully capped. So you put it back.
Right.
How do you know how much to leave for them to be able to consume? Because that's a big thing people say. You're taking the bees' food.
Sure, absolutely. I mean,
I was just going to ask that.
I've turned into quite a hippie about it, and apitherapy, whatever, has made me crazy. That the best food for the bees is their honey. It's their food. And commercial beekeepers, one thing that can be really problematic is that they're pushing for honey production. So they will add sugar water for them to eat, which the bees love. I mean, just like we love sugar, but it's giving them the benefits if we were to gorge ourselves on sugar. Like the honey is rich in antioxidants, it's antimicrobial, it's got enzymes in it, and we're depriving the bees of that so we can have it. So I usually, exactly. Yeah. So I will leave the bees like everything. In the first year, I don't count on harvesting any honey. If you are looking to make money honey wise, you're probably compromising the health of your bees.
Sure.
And so I just will pull a jar or two here or there if there's like a surplus, or if there's like they've built wax in a weird area and I can't help it but just kind of destroy part of the hive to make sure everything fits together or whatever. Like that's the only time I'm really harvesting honey nowadays.
Yeah. Do they ever consume or not? Do they ever produce too much, like for their own hive?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
They do.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, they'll do a huge abundance.
Well,
And then
that's
you
why we can get
are
honey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking
they'll
about the
usually
people
do
out
an
there,
abundance,
like you
okay.
said, Jared, the people that are against this, like you're taking away the bees. So you and every other beekeeper out there, your answer is, well, yeah, we need that honey because it's healthy for us. We also leave the bee what they need as well. They don't need the entire honey source that they're producing.
Sure.
Is
How do
there a
you- how
certain
do you
ratio
measure it,
that's, I
though?
guess, a
Yeah.
standard of that?
How do you measure it? Like
Um,
you got 10, what do you call them? 10 slots, or typically, I saw one of your videos where you're like, hey, if you're starting beekeeping, like get this particular one. It's a basic kind of square box that you see. And I think you said you should have like 10 slats.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Like,
It's
how
a
does one
Langstroth
know?
hive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you like in Utah, if you're overwintering the bees, it would be like 100 pounds you kind of want to aim for of honey.
Mhm.
But really, so I also think too, you need to be smarter with how you use your honey. And right now, so the honey production in the US, commercial beekeepers are producing 1/3 of the world's demand. And yet they're still making that quota. They're still making it work. And we don't know why or how. We know exactly why. There's so many additives. It's disgusting. Like
For
there's
sure
a
it
beet
is.
syrup, there's a corn syrup, and they're getting so good at mimicking it that it's very hard to detect those things. There's labs specifically dedicated to the integrity of honey, and most of them are failing as they go in for these tests. But most people don't know. Most people don't care.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people will use honey um just as a perk. Like it's not like a health thing for them. They'll add it
It's
to
a
their
treat.
coffee, which
Yeah.
yeah, it's a treat.
Yeah.
And they'll add it to their coffee, which immediately by heating it, you're ruining all the enzymes that are in it. Or they're baking with it or whatnot. So if you're baking with it, if you're adding it to your coffee, yeah, go for it. Use the store-bought stuff. I
Sure.
don't care. It's not real honey. So yeah, knock yourself out. But I feel like I don't know. I mean, I don't think commercial beekeeping is great. The more I go down that road, the more I feel like it's not good for the bees, for anyone really. So to really if you find a beekeeper, a farmer's market, whatever, and you got this jar of honey, yeah, just value it, eat it correctly, and you'll receive a lot of the health benefits
right.
from it. And then that way we don't have to pull more from the bees.
There's a lot
Jared's
there to
got all
unpack.
kinds of questions. I'm sure
So-
he is.
We're going to hit a bullet and then you can go through it. This is a big thing that I've watched the documentaries that you have as well, McKay, and heard things. And I was vegan for almost a decade. So I was a honey consuming vegan. So maybe I wasn't, I don't know. A lot of vegans, they still consume honey. Anyway, so I was wondering that, you always hear honey is really good. Multiple questions that I have, and I'll just try to hit one, but let's just start with what you were just saying. The commercial, it's not real honey. I'm going to buy it from the store, whatever. You started seeing people, I want you to unpack that, but also go to Costco and you got raw Utah honey. Is that really decent honey?
Raw, organic. Yeah.
And let's look at the comparison of, you're saying commercial, we're saying, hey, you got this raw organic stuff from Utah, fill in the blank place, not Utah, Costco. And then you have the McKays that you go to the farmer's market and hey, you see the different color of the honey and all that kind of stuff. Can we talk about the difference between the qualities and why one's better than the other?
It kind of varies from jar to jar. If you are looking at the jar and you can read on the label that it is sourced from different countries, that's a red flag right there. It should be one source. You shouldn't have different countries adding to one jar. I know personally a beekeeper from Montana area that Costco approached them to buy out all their honey. They were selling it. I think they had their own little production. They were just making their own jars or something. It was a step up from the farmer's market, but it was their own. Offered them a really awesome price. And they take that honey and add it to others' honeys, and they create their own Costco honey.
Yeah.
And so it can be a local whatever. But I wouldn't trust it. I don't know. I wouldn't trust it. And especially if they're needing it to stretch and go further.
Sure.
One sure sign. I mean, I pull honey from my hive in the spring and I'll pull honey from my hive in the fall. Completely different colors, completely different.
Oh yeah, you get different
And
flowers
you can tell, like when you open up the hive, like this vibrant, beautiful yellow, and you're realizing, oh, the chamomile and this and the lavender, like you can see the
Wow.
differences, like kind of like within the comb, you know?
That's
And
cool.
so if you are looking at the jars on the shelf and it's just like, I mean, every time you go by X honey,
It's all
X
gold.
honey is always this tone. It's always this color. It's like,
Yeah.
It should
okay,
not
well,
be.
that should be looked at. Yeah.
So natural
So-
is a variety of colors and
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, especially
yeah.
depending on the time of year. And okay, so
yeah, it makes
Right.
sense.
if you're buying from the store, what should one be looking for? Like a
I
good
wouldn't.
So
I
flat
straight
black
up.
and white, you would not be buying anything
Yeah.
from the store for honey.
So
Okay.
yeah, anything for it to be FDA approved, they do have to heat it to a certain temperature,
Okay.
which is also something that is destroying the enzymes, the living enzymes that are in the honey. So
The stuff that makes it
I-
medicinally good for you, right? Or
Right,
just medicinal.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't like, but again, if you're buying honey to bake with, if you're buying honey to put in your coffee or whatever, I mean, and you love corn syrup, then yeah, go for it, you know?
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah, I
Okay,
wouldn't
so-
trust anything in the stores.
What if it's like a local, like there's a brand here in Utah that I know of, and I personally know the owner. I should ask him if he heats it up though.
Is
But
it
he-
Hollow Tree?
Yeah. You know Bench?
Tom?
Bench? Yeah.
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 Okay. So once in a blue moon, something like this will happen. And what Tom
They
is
sell in
doing.
Harmons. Yeah.
Yeah. So what Tom is doing, Tom bought his equipment from Europe, and he bought all his like canning, harvesting, or like canning, jarring equipment from Europe because they don't heat their honey. And he couldn't find any equipment in the US that wasn't doing that.
Get
So
out.
Tom, I
Wow.
actually love Tom. And I'm trying to do a collaboration with him for another honey tasting
Hi,
box.
Tom.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Tom's
we
the
love
man.
Tom.
He's
Tom's
so
great.
chill. I went mountain biking with him
Yeah.
a couple of years. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, and that's funny because anyone who's like, so what about the honeys? What about like, because I don't trust Cox honey, which is another Utah one that
heck yeah.
people
Yeah.
seem to love. But
But Tom's and
I
Hollow
mean,
Tree and Harmons,
I don't
wherever
want
else he
to
sells it.
Yep, yeah,
That's
exactly.
legit
Hollow
'cause
Tree
he's not
honeys,
heating
that's
it.
good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, and I'm sure anywhere you go, you could find like little exceptions like that. But the only reason I would think of him as an exception is because I know him.
Yeah.
I know his equipment. Like I know what he's doing, you know?
Yeah, and that
But,
stuff's not advertised for the listeners out there. They're looking at their
Right.
Walmarts and things like
Right.
that. They're not thinking, and most
Yeah.
consumers aren't there. They're not deep diving into their products, which this is the whole point. Is we're supposed to be. Let's
Sure.
let's
Well,
wake up, people.
Sure.
Let's start looking at
maybe
Yeah.
there's not a farmer's market though, right? So like, and they want to go to a store.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking like people that are like, hey, I know honey's really good for me. Like I want to use that as my sugar source, right? My more natural sugar source, like the maple syrup or honey. And they decide they got to go to Walmart. That's their only choice, right? I can see you cringing, but it's
Yeah, you're not going to get anything at Walmart.
there's
Yeah.
nothing there. So you're basically saying
No.
buying whatever Walmart gives you is form of honey. Get as raw as you want, but that's basically like buying corn syrup. It's the same.
Oh
Your
yeah, it's
body
a
will-
whole marketing scam. Yeah, no, Walmart absolutely has nothing for you in the honey area.
And the
Okay,
big
so it's
thing is
basically
what
just
you're
corn
what
syrup.
you're talking about is the process of how it's made because of the heating. Even if I'm sure there's
well,
more to it, but that's just one
no,
thing.
and like there's a lot of people that are adding stuff to the honey, but they're not labeling it. They're not
Got it.
reporting it. And it's been like they've been sending small samples. There's a really great lab in Texas that is doing like honey testing, another one in Germany, and they'll gather samples. And also it's like ultra filtered too. So there was
Yeah, I want to know what
Say,
the difference
Texas
is.
University. Yeah, they gathered samples of honey anywhere they could buy within like a 3-mile radius. So it was all the Costco and the Smiths and the whatever, like all the honey they could buy. They tested it and found zero trace of pollen in the honey. Now that's insane because you can't really separate it. Like it's just like the bee. It's
in
all
it.
in the hive. It's all we're all in this together. Like
Right.
it's just you can't do that. And so like it means that it's been filtered and refiltered and filtered. So all the pollen, which and that's why people say, oh, eat local honey. Well, it's local honey isn't the thing that's doing it. It's the pollen. Like the pollen is what you're after to help with your allergies, to help with
Right.
those beneficial things. And if it's been filtered out of there, you're not going to get any of those benefits. So it's either heated, it's either filtered, or there's additives to it. But there's
Right.
no way. I mean, there's no way you're getting any honey that is not subject to one of those things.
And
From the
filter removes
From
the
an
pollen.
actual
From the store.
From an American store, you'll never ever get one of those. You'll have
No.
one of those structures or processes happening if you buy
Yeah.
anything in the store. Okay, understood.
Potentially, yeah.
So pollen's being removed, but I want to talk about the benefits of that. But you're saying if it's heated, the enzymes. So one of the multiple benefits with honey. Let's talk about those benefits though, and help us understand. Educate us on that. Like, what are the health benefits of honey? You know, you're talking about that now. Yeah,
this is the new world that I've been diving into that is just it's deep and it's dark but it's like beautiful,
It's
you
my
know.
world.
But
I love that.
So yeah. So there are lots of things that come from the hive that can be beneficial for you. So honey is the obvious one. Then pollen is everyone's like go-to. If you're like, okay, what's from the hive? It's like honey and pollen. Well, then you have bee bread, which we talked about. It's a mixture of the pollen and the honey. It's been slightly fermented and it turns it into this kind of superfood. Then you have propolis. Have you ever heard of the word propolis before?
No.
I have from you because I've watched your videos, but yes, outside of that.
Outside of that, yeah.
Yeah. So propolis is the bees will fly around and collect tree resin and sap and come back to their hive and seal up everything, every little hole, little crack and crevice with propolis.
Wow.
Hives that have a bigger propolis envelope tend to be more healthy. And they don't know if they're more healthy because of the propolis or the propolis helps them be more healthy. But it's extremely antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial, and to inhale it, they've been shown that it helps a lot with your respiratory system and it will expand your lungs. So propolis, and so what it is, they also have done a lot of great studies for like herpes. So a lot of STD stuff or even like cold sores. I need to do some content around this, but I get cold sores all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried everything under the sun, you know, all the Abreva, you buy the tube this big for $1 million, everything. Propolis, hands down, is the best thing I've ever used. It stops it in its tracks. It's the best.
Where you buying just straight propolis?
So again, a lot of these things can be contaminated or so they have a propolis spray that like Beekeeper's Naturals does or whatnot. The first ingredient's corn syrup in it. Like, don't get it. It's ridiculous. But I have a lady who's obsessed with the authenticity of these products like I am, and she has a website where she's selling a bunch of them. So she's like my go-to. She's the best.
Do you want to drop her name and website in here?
Beeswax. You guys know beeswax.
Yeah.
It locks in the moisture. A lot of people will use it for like salves. You have candles, and the candles that burn beeswax are actually purifying your air, while you have your paraffin candles that are mugging it up
your air. Yeah.
So beeswax is propolis. Is that what it is?
No, beeswax is totally different propolis. Beeswax is produced from glands on the bees.
Okay.
It comes out of the bee's body and they shape it with their legs into the little hexagonal shapes. And that's where they house the honey, the pollen, and then their babies. That's where the cocoons are, is inside the beeswax. That's what makes that honeycomb shape.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Then you have your royal jelly, which we taled a little bit about that.
Yeah.
If they eat royal jelly, they turn into a queen bee.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the fountain of youth. People love royal jelly. They put it in makeup products. I think it's such a scam. If you get 100% pure royal jelly and you keep it in the refrigerator, you put it on your face, good stuff. But if it's the 12th ingredient in your beauty products and it's sitting on a shelf, it's just a marketing scam.
Dead ass. I'm gonna go ask my wife after this show. Show me your makeup.
Yeah,
I gotta see what it's made of, because she definitely is into all this holistic.
And then you have bee venom, and bee venom. Oh man, it is the best, you guys. Bee venom's crazy cool.
What is that?
So those are all the things that you can get from the hive.
Stuff.
Yeah. So pollen peddlers. Pollen peddlers, and McKay Jo will get you a discount. And I'll tell you what, I am not doing that for the whatever, the money, the whatever. It is the one brand I have reached out to for a code. She
Okay.
didn't know about influencer codes or how to do it. She set it up just for me. It's the one code I have, the one code I give out. I love her stuff so much. So yeah. And you can get propolis vapors on there. You can get propolis tinctures. You can get propolis pills. You can get royal jelly. You can get bee venom in creams. And you can order live bees if you want bee venom in that form
this
too.
stuff? How am I using all this and when? Like I understand.
It's all for
help me
different
understand.
things.
Yeah.
It's all for different things. So royal,
I'm just going to jump myself into a hive.
So you got a cold sore. Let's talk about
Yeah.
propolis. We'll talk about that. You said cold sore.
Okay.
You have like a
Okay,
little spray, right? It's on the tongue. You just kind of spray
mine
it
is
on.
a dropper. So mine is a tincture. So it's a dropper. So
Okay,
I'll
you
put the
drop it on
dropper
there.
Mhm.
And then you're
That's
saying
it.
like within a day, that bad boy zapped.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah, it's immediately gone.
What?
Yeah.
If you felt that the conversation resonated with you, we invite you to share it because you really never know who needs to hear this today.
You can find more tools for intentional living and the 7 pillars of transformation at thehappyatrium.com or connect with us on our socials at thehappyatrium. We'd love to see and interact with you there.
Until next time, keep tending to your inner child, one breath, one step, and one story at a time.
Take care. We'll see you down the road.